Hey everybody, Justin, Elena, and myself, the being behind the scenes, would like to ask you to consider checking out this GoFundMe page, the link of which is going to be in the show notes, and as you'll see up here on the screen, for our very good friend Tim Finkel, whose family recently got some terrible news. You can read all about it on the GoFundMe, but they're asking for donations to kind of help them with their family situation. So Tim's a fellow comic. He's one of the nicest guys that I know, and I'm sure Elena and Justin would say the same. He's actually the first real comic friend I made. He was the host for my Standup 101 showcase at Ridley's Comedy Castle, and we made friends there. So he's like the first real comic that I knew, and he's been a good friend to all of us in the comedy scene. So check out the page. If you feel so motivated to donate even a little bit, that helps. It'll help him and his family out. Thank you.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another exciting episode of Sitting Down with Standups. I am your co-host, Justin Sakarica. As always, we have the Bean behind the scene, Daryl Bean, pressing all the buttons, hooking up all the mics. The realist. Yes, White Daryl. So many nicknames. Do you know anybody else in the comedy scene who has so many nicknames?
I'm sure, no.
He's like the Apollo Creed of the comedy scene. You know, in Rocky, when he's naming off all of his nicknames, you know, stay away from the Russians, Daryl. It didn't work out well for Apollo Creed.
It didn't work out for me either. So.
I have to confess this. I just did the thing that I try to tell myself to never do, and I played the, giggly morning show girl. I've never seen Rocky.
What?
I know.
Oh,
I was just like, oh, this is the part that he thinks is funny, so I'm gonna laugh here and support this.
Yeah,
but I have
no
idea what you're talking about.
A whole podcast about that. Yeah. So, anywho, we have the very lovely Elena Gonzalez to my left, who's never seen Rocky before.
But I have seen Creed. I know that that's probably terrible. But
it is. Yes.
Yeah.
And you should go home and think about what you've done.
I know all of the things though. It's like I have this thing. I know this is not what we were planning on talking about, but I'm going to take it here for a second. I know the stuff that's in the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
And I'm the same with Star Wars. I've never seen any of the Star Wars, but I know all the things.
Yeah.
Even weirder ones, like Admiral Akbar. And
the whole, it's a trap.
Right.
Yeah.
Not just Chewbacca's the furry one. I know stuff, so I don't know how that happens.
Well, I mean, I think it's so ingrained in pop culture that everybody knows about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just like, oh yeah, that's Rocky. Have you seen it? No, I haven't.
Right.
You know, it's one of those weird little things that just kind of you know it. It's almost like American history. You know about it, but yeah. American History X, yes. Oh yeah.
I have seen that one.
Yes, I have seen that as well. Yeah.
It's not like Rocky at all.
No.
Oh, okay.
Actually, no. It is kind of like Rocky, and I don't think we need to get into how it is like Rocky. Are you connecting the dots now?
I'm not, but okay.
Rocky 4 and American History X do have a lot in common. I don't think we need to get into it. For those who've seen it, they will understand.
I'll think about it.
Is Rocky 4 Drago?
Yes, Drago. Drago.
See? How do I know that Rocky 4 is Drago?
Apollo Creed and Drago fight. Something happens. Are the dots being connected now?
I could guess. Yeah. But we were talking off mic about Anthony Jeselnik, and I referenced that I was describing him to someone, and I said he's kind of like a clean cut, like a frat guy. Mm-hmm. And then I took that back because I didn't actually mean it. But then talking about Drago, Anthony Jeselnik is like a skinny Drago.
Yes, Yeah.
He's got the same, because they both, the the hair too? Like, don't they both have like Johnny Bravo hair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Drago. He was an intimidating guy. And again, we're kind of like, we're not off subject because this is great, but...
Yeah, because it's all random.
It is random. Funny story. So the guy who played Ivan Drago, Dolph Lundgren, okay? And this is a true story, by the way. You can look it up.
Isn't he a genius?
Well, he's a genius, and he is a legitimate, like, he is an actual kickboxer.
Oh.
Somebody once broke into his house, a bunch of thieves broke into his house, began robbing the place, saw a photo of him and his family, and they were like, holy fuck. They wrote a note apologizing and left.
I love that.
Because they were like, oh my god, we are robbing Dolph Lundgren's house. He's going to kill us.
So there's this sitting down with stand-ups tip of the day. Get a picture of Dolph Lundgren's family and frame it and put it in your living room.
Yes.
To keep burglars away.
Yeah, because he is a legitimate... He's a badass. Wow. Like, when they were filming Rocky IV, you know, Stallone's like, hey, man, I don't care if you hit me for real, man. I want to feel it. He hit Stallone so hard in the chest, he had to go to the hospital because it threw his heartbeat rhythm off. Wow. I mean, you know, it's like, you get what you ask for. I would never want a professional kickboxer to punch me in the chest.
I'm still working on the whole idea that, like, not only were they like, let's get the fuck out of here when they were robbing his house, they're like, wait, we should leave a note.
Well, yeah, I mean...
In case they've got cameras or, you know,
I'm very sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, can you imagine the fear they had? Like, holy shit, we're going to die. Like, what if he comes home? We've seen Rocky IV.
Yeah.
We know what happens to people, you know. I must break you.
I must break you.
Yeah, I mean, I would feel the same way. I mean, I'm not a thief or anything, but yeah, I would be equally as scared if, like, I break into a house and it's like, you know, freaking John Jones's house. Like, oh shit, I'm gonna die. So yeah, don't rob houses, by the way.
Yeah, just don't.
Yeah.
That's probably a better tip. I still like the hang a picture of Dolph Lundgren, but it is a better tip. Don't rob houses.
So yeah, the next time you guys come over, I'm gonna have a picture of Dolph Lundgren and some random kids and like a woman, and you're gonna say, "Holy shit, Dolph Lundgren lives in Westland. I had no idea."
Exactly, in every house on this block. It's crazy.
Yeah, that would be a great deterrent, you know, to not have people fuck your shit up. So. Oh, yeah, random stuff going on.
Yeah.
Though. Speaking of random.
Yes, there it is. There it is. I was like, I finally got one. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so anyway, Andrew McFarland, I love you, buddy. Great time at the Random Ass Comedy Contest last night. For those of you who watch the show, you know it is 40 comedians sign up, 10 go on. The 10 who go on all get $100, and then the winner ends up getting an extra $400 for $500. Last night was great because 12 people showed up.
Which is slightly less than 40.
Yeah, and at that point, it's like, we're pretty much all going to get paid. And then Andrew made the decision, like, you know what, we're going to lower the grand prize and give everybody money. Easiest night of comedy in my life. Got a cool $100 to go up there, but it was a good time. You know.
And I drove an hour and a half away and got $20 to do 10 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So, definitely comedy pays.
Yes. Yes, it does. It does. So, yeah, but it was great. I mean, it was a good time. You know, I felt bad for Andrew because I don't know where he's getting the money to do that, but, you know, he said he'll be doing it again. And
Sugar Daddy, I'm sure.
Sugar Daddy, I'm sure. And now that makes 2 people who've gotten money from doing that show. Yes. Daryl, you need to go there and complete the trifecta.
Yeah, I gotta do it.
Yeah. I think he said January will be the next one. Yeah.
Yeah. I was picked last time. I don't even remember if we talked about it. Did we talk about it?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we talked about it, because Todd Garvey won. You got picked. I think Barb got picked. Barb was there just hanging out, and like toward the end, everyone's like, go up, Barb, and do a set. And Barb is so sweet. Like, she went up there and did a set. It was very cool.
Nice.
You know, but again, I'm glad that it ended up being a fun little hangout.
That's great.
You know, it was very cool, and, you know, it is kind of nuts. Anybody?
Smooth.
Yeah.
So smooth.
It is kind of nuts how not that many people came. And speaking of nuts, if you love delicious sugar-free cinnamon and spice almond pecans,
I'm not gonna let him ruin this sales pitch. So, Our next guest is the lovely and talented Sara Young.
Yes, Sara Young, come out. Please come in here.
Because I need to talk for realsies about these. Will you grab the bag back up?
I will grab the bag right now. Yes.
So we're gonna talk to Sara more on these, but I want to be serious. These are my absolute favorite. I have hunted Sarah down multiple times to be like, please, can I just get another bag? Like, it is unlike any other spiced nut. And so there's cinnamon and spiced, almond and pecans, but you also do almonds and walnuts?
Almonds and walnuts or almonds and cashews, but those are more by special order.
Okay.
I have to make a whole small batch of them because these are the ones that sell the best.
Because they're so stupid good. Like, not even just, oh, she's sitting right next to us, they're delicious. Like, Bucky's level deliciousness.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. Like, my brain does not comprehend, and I know that we're going to go all over the place.
Which is what we do here.
Well, I really
what we
quickly-
do, but...
My name is Drago. I am fighter from Soviet Union. I'm here to fight Rocky Balboa. That's my one impression.
And that's what it says in the movie.
Yes, I know. And
Yes.
I've carried that with me for decades.
Could you talk like that for the entirety of the podcast?
I probably could, but I'd have to kill myself.
No, we need you around. We need you around.
I love that it's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's my one impression.
Well, no, I can also do Roz from Monsters, Inc. And
Let's hear it.
And that, Wazowski. Here's your paperwork, Wazowski. This I could do the entire day. It doesn't hurt my throat, and it irritates my husband to no end. Which is why I do it. As my sex phone voice in my act.
Oh, I'd be amazed. You call that monstrous kink.
Oh.
Wow!
Tagging
Hey-o.
jokes, tagging
We
jokes.
got this here.
So I'm so serious about how delicious these are, and the thing that blows my mind about them is that. Okay, I'm trying to think of the best way to do this. So what makes these so special, Sarah? That's how I
These
will
make
set you up.
these so special because 15 years ago I weighed 250 pounds more, and in the process of losing the weight, I got really good at decarbing everything, and I firmly believe that if you deny yourself something, it's not going to work, and it's just, you're going to spiral and binge. And I wanted something sweet and crunchy and tasty, and I figured out how to make a recipe that I could have. And then everyone loved them so much. About 6 years now, I figured out how to get my license with the state and find a commercial kitchen, and I've been making and selling them commercially for the last 6 years.
Amazing.
They're so good.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's not something that is top of mind for you, nutrition wise or whatever, they're just good. And my biggest problem with them is, I have my own food issues, but like, seriously, once you open them, it is so hard to not just devour them.
Exactly. And again, we're not just saying that because Sarah is our friend here. You always want to support your friends in everything they do, but it's so much easier when it's actually when it's a quality product.
Yes.
It's like when you're one friend's like, "Hey man, I'm barbecue," and you're like, "Fuck." God damn it. So you eat before you go, and you're like, "Oh, I'm just not that hungry," But you actually
What is
make
that
a
song?
good.
I am all over the place.
What
What is
song?
that song? You ever went over to your friend's house to eat and the food just ain't no
it's
good?
Rapper's Delight.
Okay, thank you.
I don't too many words.
I was
but yeah.
like, wait.
Yeah, but again, it's so much easier to support somebody when it's actually a quality product. You know what I'm gonna do with these? I'm gonna make an ice cream out of these.
Yes, they at Wholehearted Winery, they sell them on their charcuterie boards. They sell them in the bag that we have there, but they include them on their charcuterie boards. And for the fall, they have a warm brie with those sprinkled on top.
That sounds so
Yum.
good. I'm gonna make ice cream. I'm gonna put some cinnamon and sugar powder in there. I'm gonna crunch it up. And I'm gonna make some ice cream based off that, and I'll think of a snappy name for it. How's that sound?
That sounds perfect.
Oh my god. So how? And again, you mentioned that you got into a situation where you lost weight, and you made these, and it's really been taken off.
Yes.
Sort of like your comedy career, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all, I was not who I am 7 years ago. I was stuck in corporate America, and 7 years ago I escaped corporate America and started doing my artwork full time. And a year after that, I added in the nuts, and a year after that, and lots of people laugh because, you know, they're called Gracie's Good Eats because I am without Grace most of the time. And
we all are, actually.
Oh no! If I show up on crutches or in a brace or something, it's not "What did you do?" It's "What did you do now?" Because it's always my fault, whether it was or was not. And so that's why they're Gracie's Good Eats, and because I answer that as readily as anything else. And it was about a year after that I added storytelling and comedy into the mix.
Yeah, and I've seen your act before, and I've heard great things about your storytelling, which I want to do that one day as well. But I've got so many stories, and I got to figure out like which one I want to tell. When you do your storytelling, what story, like, do you do the same story, or do you ever change it up?
No, they're all generally they're all based off a theme, and so it has to be a real story. It has to be true life, something that happened to you that connects to the theme in some sort of way. Back in July at Go Comedy, the third Thursday of each month, they have a storytelling event, and Elena did it last month.
Oh, very cool.
And I've done it probably about 8 times at this point. And the one in July was Spark, and it gave me the idea of how to tell my story of leaving corporate America.
Your escape.
My escape. It was definitely escape.
Like Andy Dufresne, it took you so many years to chisel out of the...
It was, you know, trying to shorten it, because it was, there's another gentleman, Brian Cox, and he, about every once or twice a year, he does a storytelling called Snapshots. And then that is based off of photos. So a story, and it can be about anything. And I wound up using the Spark, and it showed my escape from corporate America. But my body was turning on me. It just got worse and worse. I was not who I am. I was criminally shy and never fit in, and just tried to do what all my friends were doing, because that's what you did. You went to college, and you got a career, and you got married, and you had a family, and you worked 9 to 5, and you know, anything else is just wrong. You know, how do you make a life doing anything but that? That's not what you do.
Yeah.
It's wrong. And I didn't graduate initially because I kept trying to change my major to figure out where I fit in, and so when everyone left, I just left, and I wound up in retail management, and that was disastrous. And I started doing weekend art shows, and that brought the creativity back into my life that was missing. You know, I've always been like this. I was about 18 months old, 2 years old, didn't know how to hold a pencil, but I had the stories, and I gave my mom the words, and she wrote everything down, including my 2-year-old grammar. So I've always been like this. So I started doing art shows that brought the creativity back in, and that was awesome. But trying to do retail and have weekends off doesn't work.
Yeah.
And by then I had gone back to college and graduated from Eastern. And so I went into logistics. And I, to this day, cannot tell you what that is. I have to have the dictionary definition in front of me, because my brain won't let me keep it. And in my story, I read it, and I'm just like, this is what logistics is, for those of you who don't know. And I read it, and then I'm like, death. And, you know, everyone says, well, okay, yeah, we get that. And
do you know what logistics is, Justin?
I work in logistics, and I can tell you what my experience is. It's a bunch of moving parts, moving flatbeds, dealing with truckers day in and day out. And you want to talk about some personalities. You work with over-the-road truckers, and you will meet some people.
I was Schneider, less than truckload, filling those up. That was one of my gigs. And but it's, you know, it's metrics. I'm like, what is a metric? It's a measurement. A measurement of what? It's a measurement of the measurement. And I'm like, what does that mean? It's a measurement of the measurement. Why is your life not based around this measurement of the measurement that we're all frantic about? Well, I'm like, because the sun's still going to rise, I'm pretty sure, and it's going to set, and you're going to can me. So, it's all good. It's like, but, and it just got worse and worse because I kept trying to fit in, and my body, gave me appendicitis at my first job. And then I used to do powerlifting, and I was training for a meet, and I busted this arm.
Really? You did powerlifting?
Yeah.
I had no idea. That's amazing.
Yeah, and busted this arm powerlifting, and then I was training for a 100-mile bike ride, and broke, I have to think, this knee in 3 places, in 3 places, and just the harder I tried to stay, the worse it got, and I started having just chronic fatigue.
Gotcha.
And to the point where I had to take a nap anywhere I got. And I have no idea how I did not kill somebody because I could not stay awake for more than 5 minutes behind the wheel of my car.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what you're saying is, Sara Young used to be a power lifter. She's damn near indestructible. She could speak in a Russian accent. I'm not going to have a picture of Ivan Drago upstairs. I'm going to have a picture of Sara Young. So when people break in, they're going to say, holy shit, Sara Young lives here. Let's get the fuck out of here. That's what I'm going to do, okay?
Yeah, but so it was my last stop in corporate America. I was at Blue Cross making the plastic cards, leading the team for the plastic cards, and they had lied to me, and I was there under contract, and after the New Year, they were going to hire me direct, and life was good. And I actually didn't hate being there, and I probably would have stayed. But I made tumblers, the insulated tumblers. I engraved them for my team. And my friend came up to me after he opened his gift, and he said, "Can you do metal and wood and plastic, and engraving and all this?" And I'm like, "Well, I can." And he says, "Why aren't you engraving custom gun stocks?" And I thought, why aren't I engraving custom gun stocks? Because that sounds like a lot more fun than what I'm doing. But then the loop in my brain, that's not normal, Sarah. How are you going to do that? How are you going to find the time? How are you going to find the people? What would that look like? Where would you find people to etch for? You can't do that. That's not normal. You have to be normal. Everybody has to be normal. Just started in this loop. And an hour later, my contract company showed up and met with me, and they said, you've been lied to again. They're not going to hire you direct, and in fact, they're not even continuing your contract. And your desk is being cleaned out as we speak.
Oh, man.
But, we'll look for something else for you, and you don't have to go through the drug testing and all that. And I said, I have a plan. And they said, what? And I'm like, no, I have a plan. Don't have to look for anything. I'm good. And I walked out, and the sky lifted and it cleared, and it was amazing. And I had 3 months of unemployment to figure things out, and I had all the time in the world to figure things out. And through all of this and all the hurt and physical things and the mental things, because I had no idea how depressed I was, Ben's been through me with all of this. And no matter what I try, he's like, let's figure this out. So I went home and I said, I'm apparently a custom gun stock engraver now. Surprise! And he said, cool, let's figure this out. And I found a circuit of gun and knife shows that is pretty much every weekend all around Michigan.
No.
Yeah. And they are, and I made demos at my workshop and made gun stocks and engraved them. And that was enough to get me in the door. And then I had tables filled with all the stuff that I wanted to make. And I taught myself, I didn't bring a sample of it, but laser photography, where you send any photo to me and I can engrave it onto slate or into wood. And it's an exact representation. It's incredible.
Another skill. She works with lasers. She makes her even more powerful.
Lasers.
Yeah.
I wish I would have brought it, but my son did a drawing, and Sarah put those on coasters for
very
a
cool
gift that we did, and it's really great because now this random sketch that my kiddo did when he was 4. It's like it could be in a box somewhere.
It's immortalized
but now. We've got.
Yeah. Do you want to show off some of your stuff that you've got down there, Sarah?
Oh, I would love to. So, my current passion with all of this is this is 3D laser artwork.
Better than anything the Amish can do.
So this one is cherry.
Good. Okay.
Cherry, walnut, and maple wood. And
sounds delicious.
Yeah, and they're anywhere from 3 to 7 layers of the wood that each layer is cut a little bit differently, and then I stack them and finish them and frame them. This is,
and it's so gorgeous using the different types of wood because then you get that natural coloration.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is actually one of my favorites.
That is very cool. That would make a great outdoor patio decoration.
That I'd have to do. I'd have to figure a way to make it
a different
safe.
kind of
like put some lacquer on it or something.
Yeah. But yeah, this is 7 layers of all birch wood, and this one was a little bit challenging because the top layer, each layer gets a little bit thinner, and this was like super delicate, and I wasn't convinced that I would be able to actually put it together, but I did. And I also have,
Ooh, is this like a reveal?
yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, and it's weird. I see the frames, and the frames tell me what wants to be on them. I can't give you a better explanation than that. And then one that I've been selling a lot of. There we go. Is the sunflower for the fall.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That is gorgeous.
Now, how long does something like that take you to do?
Well, the actual designing of the piece is where the time comes, because I have to make sure each file and each layer, and I'm working on it, and I realize something won't work, and then I change something. But what I realize is I am blowing it up where I am just working on nodes, and I'm taking out 3 nodes to make something work. So it's like I'm taking out 3 pixels, and the difference between that working and not working is 3 pixels, and that's bizarre and just crazy. So that can be days, that can be simpler ones a lot sooner, but the actual burning is generally about an hour, and then I have to assemble and frame and all the other stuff.
So how do you find time to do all that with running your own rooms and doing comedy? I mean, you must be staying super busy all the time.
Well, this is the artwork is my main gig.
Okay.
And the one show is just monthly, so I get that booked out pretty far in advance, and the winery is incredible. They give me what do you need? And they're like, no, we want this to be professional, and so they brought in professional lighting people, and they have professional stage lighting now, and they have professional sound equipment, and this is just like, what can we do to make this better? And it doesn't come out of my pocket, and it's just what they want. They want community, and they want laughter, and they want love in the world, and this is how a big part of how they see it happening. And it's and it was all just kismet, because I used to have my stuff at a little shop in Wixom, and the shop closed, and I had all of my samples and my tumblers and everything in the store, and my nuts in the store, and my kitchen was next to the winery in the church, and they changed out the key to the storage room. And I had some time unexpectedly off, and I'm like, I'm going to go by the church and get the new key. And I came out, and I drive a Jeep, and the wheel cover is my etching business. And there was an email from the owner of the winery, and he said, I'm in the winery next door. I think I need something etching. I saw your car, and I just knew I had to talk to you. Are you available? And I said, well, I'm right next door, and are you still there? And he was, because they had a warehouse down the street, which is why they opened the winery to fund their warehouse, because they have a whole program called Giving 360 where they get returns and end of sales, season kind of things from Bed Bath and Beyond and Lowe's and Home Depot and Amazon returns, and everything there is on a as needed basis. So if you know someone and they need something and they have it, it's theirs, and it's totally pay it forward. Take the money that you would have spent and give it to somebody else. Just pay it forward however it works for you to do it. And so he was leaving the winery to go to the warehouse, saw my Jeep as I was pulling in, and he had come back. And so I went there, and I had all the stuff in my car because I hadn't cleaned it out. And so I showed him my etching. I left a bag of my Gracie's Good Eats Nuts, Sarah's Nut Sacks.
Yes.
I left it for them. I had just started comedy like barely a year before, and so this was all very fresh and new. And it was just a house on fire situation. I've done all sorts of work for them for etching, and I continue. They have tumblers that they sell that I do for them, and they have just relatively recently, they opened in 2019 September, and I met them in October, and the whole side where their tasting room is and where the comedy happens and the patio out back was all empty, and they had this vision for what they wanted. And they would have people come and they would give tours of this is what we're envisioning. And the winery was built in 1850. It's an old family farmhouse, and they have numerous people confirming that members of the family still visit.
I was going to say, 1850s farmhouse,
Yeah.
you know that's haunted.
Yeah,
That's haunted.
The original family lived there until 1966.
And then they're like, it's too haunted, we're leaving. Too many ghosts.
No. They're very happy. There's the matriarch is Nettie, and she is upstairs. And they had many people say Nettie keeps asking for a rug. She wants a rug, and she just give the woman a rug. And so there is a rug, and that is where the comedy happens actually. And there's a little boy on the first floor, and the old curmudgeon in the basement.
Ooh, stay out of the basement.
Well, no, he just wants his bottle of hooch, and they buried one, and you can I have seen like a path of like footprints, and it's an old Michigan basement, not finished.
Oh, so it's a creepy basement,
yeah,
creepier than this one.
But you see the stones that the house was built on. It's just it's incredible, and so we were going upstairs. I had some friends in town, and we were doing the tour in December. And Dan, the owner, was saying, Nettie just wants laughter and love and parties and family, back in the house.
And a rug.
And the rug. And he says, and he knew I was doing all of this, and he says, do you want to run a room? And I broke out in goosebumps, and my stomach turned over, which is my signal that I need to look at doing something.
Yeah.
Because every time someone suggests something and my stomach flips, I'm like, oh, I apparently am meant to do this.
Yeah.
And I said yes, and he's like, cool, and we'll figure it out. And then 2020 happened, and
what happened in 2020? I don't. Yeah, what happened in 2020?
Yeah, and the world went upside down and pear-shaped and all that, and but then they had live music one time out on their little seated front area, and they streamed that, and I'm like, damn, we can do comedy this way. And he was just like, huh. So we wound up for 2020, 2021 doing comedy in the parking lot.
I remember I was on a show there one time.
And that people were tailgating, and we had over 100 people in the parking lot, to hear comedy, and it was amazing. And then they finally, everything opened up, and they got all the red tape cleared, and they got all their permits and building done, and they finished the inside, and we've moved inside December 2021, and we've been doing 2 shows a night once a month since then, and every single show has been sold out.
Nice. Very impressive.
Great room.
That's I did it back when it was a parking lot room, and it was a ton of fun. It was a ton of fun out there. And I'm normally not a big fan of outdoor shows, but that kind of changed my mind a little bit. I'm like, okay, outdoor shows can be fun and they can be successful. And you had a killer lineup on that show. Cam Rowe was on that show as well. I think the Gilleruns were on that show. Ronnie Rohrbeck was on that show. Mark Bonto was on that show. Unfortunately, I was on there as well too.
No,
bringing
that's
down.
great.
One thing, and I'm sorry, I do have to go back to this because we were making movie references earlier, going back to what was her name, the woman who wanted the rug,
Nettie.
So did she want a rug because it really tied the room together? Anybody catching that reference? Daryl got it.
I know that.
Yeah.
I know that.
Hey, man.
Yeah, hey man, like
Ties
the
the
room
together,
together.
man.
Have you ever seen the?
Yes, Big Lebowski.
Have you ever seen
Yes.
The Big Lebowski?
Yes.
The whole movie is about. In my mind, immediately went to some old lady, but acting like the dude, and then the old curmudgeon could be Walter in the basement,
But yeah, I have Libby that does the photo shoot for.
Oh yeah, Libby O'Clair.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you ever need anything photographed, contact Libby, by the way.
But she comes out, and it was one of the first shows. She got a shot of the mic, and it's in front of the backdrop that says Wholehearted Winery, and there is this aura around the mic, and she didn't do any filters or anything, and it's just this glow, and that is exactly where I go in and I'm like, Nettie, we have a show coming up, be cool, I hope you love who I have, they're going to be a little bit more racy than I think you're used to, but and she got this shot, and I actually have that framed, and there's just this aura, and I've shown people, and they're like, "Oh, that was absolutely Nettie."
That's very cool. Yeah,
I'm so fascinated by this. I'm also glad that I didn't know this story before I did the room.
Oh, is it creepy?
Yeah. But in a good way. It's positive.
It
but
is,
I think I would have been in my head a lot.
Any noise or creaking noise would have kind of because this episode will be dropping around Halloween, so I like that we're talking about the spooky stuff here now,
because I now use the winery for the kitchen for my nuts, so I've moved there, and
nuts.
Sarah's nuts hacks, and they're crunchy and fun in your mouth. But I've been there by myself.
We're so immature. I love it.
I'm 12. I'm forever 12. And but I've gone in, and it's only me in the kitchen, and you have the tasting room and the fermentation room, and then the kitchen runs in the middle of it. And the first couple times there've been people there, but when I'm there by myself, it's like you're in a room, and then people are having a conversation in the next room, and you can't hear what they're saying.
But you hear something.
But you just hear voices. You hear their murmur, to the point where I was like, "Hey, is anyone here?" Because only my truck was outside, and I was the only one there. And then I was just like, "Oh, hey guys, I'm here for the afternoon." Yeah. And then they quieted down. But I've heard them. It's just just
that's so. I love that so much. I love creepy stuff like that, and I love.
Not everyone does.
Oh, see, I love it.
Have you ever? Do you have a ghost story?
I have several, but I will. Yeah, I can tell one. Now, this is one of the only times I've actually felt scared. But I love the creepy stuff, and I will shorten the story down because it's kind of a long one. Anywho, I was hiking last year up north in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. It was in the Porcupine Mountains, very, very, very remote area. Okay, I'm talking no one's ever out there. Did a very long hike and didn't wear proper footwear. My heels were shredded, so instead of going the same way back that I came, I was going to walk the main road back. And up there on the side of the road, you'll have these little nature bulletin boards that explain the kind of flowers or animals that you'll see. Came across one. It was a bulletin board for bats. So I took a break to rest my heels. I read the whole bulletin board about bats. And then I noticed off to my left that there was a little abandoned mine shaft. I was like, oh, cool. So I go over there. It's about 15 feet away. I go down a few stairs, and I look, and I can see that the door's locked. I'm like, I can't get in there, no big deal. I go back up the stairs. My back was turned for maybe about 15 seconds. As I go to continue on now on that bulletin board, there is a dirty Child's Paw Patrol sandal smack dab right in the middle.
Shut it.
Yep, and I was like, hello? What the hell? Because again, no one's up there. It's dense forest on one side, miles and miles and miles. Other side of the road is forest and then Lake Superior. What the hell? And I can't run because my feet are jacked up, and I'm dehydrated because I was eating turkey jerky, not a smart move.
What?
Yeah.
I remember reading that.
So when you...
Yeah.
Okay, wait, because I'm stuck on billboard for bats.
Yes.
So, like...
Billboard for bats.
Is it, like, advertising for bats? Like... to make it enticing for bats, or are people selling bats?
It's more like hey, you might see this creature up here, and it explains
like in a zoo where they
got it.
Like, and everyone's like, oh, you must have not seen it on there. No, it's a very small thing. I read the whole thing about bats. Like, if a sandal is smack dab in the middle, you can't read the whole thing. So now the hair on my neck is just like douche, and I'm like, okay, who is out here? Like, and everyone's like, oh, maybe a bird dropped it. No, because you would have heard the smack. Wasn't that far away. And the entire hike back, I'm just like, okay, who is out there? Like, I'm looking in the forest. I'm like, that was creepy. Like, I mean, I've had a lot of creepy things happen. That was one where I legitimately felt, like, very on edge. Because I was like, if somebody's out there and they can come and fuck with me, yeah, I'm going to end up on a milk carton somewhere. Mm-hmm. And we could have had a different host right now on the show.
When I was growing up, my parents got divorced. I was about 9. It was before my 10th birthday, but I think it was after my 9th birthday.
Oh,
so somewhere
happy birthday, Elena. We're getting divorced, but yeah.
And we moved, and my 10th birthday party was at my new house. So my folks got divorced. It was amicable enough from my perspective as a 10-year-old, but we did have a different house. Mm-hmm. And but my mom let me have friends over for a sleepover from the old neighborhood to like come over and have a sleepover. Well, I wasn't it wasn't really common conversation at 9.5 years old to be like, so my folks got divorced. I don't know how to handle these emotions, but let's talk about this and eat pizza. No, it was my friends came over. We did puffy paint t-shirts and all this stuff.
Yeah.
We're in one side of the house, and a friend of mine goes into the kitchen to get some water, and we could kind of hear some talking, but we weren't really paying attention. Yeah. And when she came back, somebody asked her, oh, who were you talking to? And she's like, oh, Elena's dad. And I'm like, my dad's not here. And she's like, well, some guy is doing laundry. And we're like, there's not some guy doing laundry here. So, we run into the kitchen, and the laundry room was off the kitchen, flip on all the lights, there's nobody there. But she is able to describe him like perfectly.
Yeah.
She's like, he was wearing a red and black flannel, he had dark hair, all of these things. I'm like, that's not really what my dad looked like anyway. And so everybody's freaking out, and we're all 10-year-old girls, so we're screaming anyway.
Oh yeah.
Then for those who have listened to me on other podcasts, then to calm ourselves down, we called 1-900-NEW-KIDS, and I racked up a $450 phone bill. But
amazing, yeah.
That's
the true terror of the
how
story.
I deal with trauma. But fast forward, I made friends with people in the neighborhood, kind of growing up, and I later learned when I was in high school that someone had committed suicide in our house. And he fit the description of the guy that the girl was talking to.
That's really creepy, but at least he is being productive around the house.
I know.
If he wants to come do laundry for me, I would appreciate that. Yeah.
Dropping sandals, child sandals.
And then it's so creepy to me because, again, like, was it somebody fucking with me? But it creeps me out because, like, somebody was out there with me. And I'm like, okay, like, I'm vulnerable. Like, I didn't have bear spray or anything, so.
Our Are bats like, so they say, when cats go out and hunt, they like bring back, they like present.
Yeah.
So like if they kill a mouse, they present it to you.
Yeah.
Do you know if bats are like that?
No, and there's no bat big enough in Michigan that would be able to carry a sandal that weighs that much.
Okay.
Because the sandal, I mean, even though it's
I didn't even connect where you were going.
Yep.
That was a good question. Thanks.
It's like the sandal weighs too much for the bat to carry.
Okay.
And again, any animal.
It's not a swallow and a coconut.
Yeah. Great movie, by the way. Again, see, I love all these movies.
Sarah, I get Sarah's references.
Yeah, that's a great movie, African or European? I don't know. Oh, see, I love a good movie reference, by the way, and that was fantastic. But yeah, it was just, that was very creepy. I've had other creepy things happen, but that's the one where I actually felt like super on edge.
Yeah.
Growing up, the house that I was in for about the first 4 years of my life, I was too young to recall everything. Both of my parents said it was haunted, and when my dad, Mr. Stern Serious Man, says that it was a weird house, then you have to take his word for it, because, yeah, again, I didn't experience anything, because I don't remember, but my sister, my mom, and my dad have all said that weird things happened there.
I have 3 stories that all tie together. I was 12, newly diagnosed as diabetic, and smashed this thumb playing softball. Because I was very stubborn, and I was the catcher on the softball team, and the ancient umpire, who was probably 16 at the time, and I remember his name, kept calling inside ball strikes, and I was up to bat, and I swung at a ball that I knew was an inside, and I smashed it between the bat and the ball. Game over. But we go to the hospital, and it was right around dinner time, and so we told them how much insulin I needed. We went and got dinner while they developed the films, because it was 100 years ago, and we came back, and sitting on a gurney waiting for a room, and I heard a voice say, leave the chart, and like the nurse put the chart down. And I'm looking at it, and even then, 100 years ago, they didn't just leave your charts lying around.
Yeah.
And I look down, and I see, rather than 13 units that I had requested, it said 53.
Jeez.
And I was brand new to being diabetic, didn't know if it was a different formulation, and that's the crossover. Showed it to my mom, she had no idea.
Yeah.
So we tagged the nurse, and they panicked. They panicked because it was totally 53. She has no idea where her brain was. And my mom had to wake me up every 2 hours to offset all the insulin, because that was more than I took in 3 days. And I was so tired. If that person hadn't said leave the chart, I would have gone home, gone to sleep, and never woken up.
Yeah.
Story number two. Ben had just gotten his first brand new car, and it was a Jeep, and it was and that was when I hit the deer. So I was driving his Jeep from Westland to Berkeley, where I was working, and it was a beautiful sunny fall day in Michigan, and I was driving probably about 85 miles an hour in the left lane on 96.
Thank you for going 85 in the left lane, by the way, and not going 60.
Right.
Yes. But the girl in the lane next to me tried to just cut me off just a little bit, and she tagged the front corner of the car.
Ooh.
And it sent me into this spin. And again, like, time slowed down, and there was this voice, and the voice just was talking to me. It was like, this is bad. I was like, it's super bad. I was like, put it into neutral, because then you only have your wheel and your brake to worry about. I'm like, okay, and I put it into neutral, and it's like, this voice is just like talking to me, and can you feel the front end pulling up? I'm like, yeah, drive towards that, and now your back end's coming up. To go back, I looped 3 times. I didn't hit the median, I didn't hit anybody else, and the cop came out for the accident, and he's looking at the tire treads, and he's like, how in the hell did you not roll this car? And I'm just like, well, it's my husband's, brand new car. I couldn't say, hey, honey, I trashed your brand new car. I'm not going to say, oh, some voice talked me through this.
Because then they're going to say breathalyzer.
Right.
Yeah.
So, number 3, same Jeep. We had, it's a hard top, but we had it worked where we had a pulley system in the garage, and we would hook the bottom, we undo all the bolts and hook it up, and then use this pulley system to just lift the top off, just Ben and I, and then he'd drive it out, and then when we came back, he'd reverse and he'd drop it, and we could go topless in the Jeep. And we were going to have the Jeep out, and the hood, the top was 400 pounds and hanging from the rafters, and we were getting ready to go, and I heard Ben's voice, and he's just like, hey, take a couple steps forward. I'm like, okay. And I step forward, and the hook that it was hanging from, steel hook, shattered. And the top came bam right where I was, and I didn't even jump because Ben told me to walk forward. So, and he was furious, and he was out of his mind, and he goes, why aren't you reacting? And I said, well, I thought you saw it.
Yeah.
You told me to take a couple steps forward. And he said, my back was to you. And I was like, huh. And I realized it was that same voice in all three things. Fast forward to last year.
What?
Fast forward to last year.
You've got some protection.
That's just it. Fast forward to last year. My parents they built their house in West Bloomfield, and they've been there for 40 some odd years, and they're packing everything up. And my dad found a cassette tape. My grandfather passed in 78. But for the winters, they actually had a condo in Israel, of all places. And we had a family electrical business, and phone calls were out of the question. So they would send back and forth cassette tapes, just like, hi Dad, this is what's happening with the company, and this is what the kids are up to, and they send these tapes back and forth.
That's really cute.
And my dad found one, and he played it for us. And it was this Eastern European Polish accent.
And that's the voice.
That's the voice
Wow.
I've always heard.
Wow.
So I have the tape, and that's actually going to be, I'm doing Haunt.
That is so
at Go.
freaking crazy. That is so
So I've
crazy.
had, you sit down, and, I'm going to, you see a medium kind of thing.
Yeah.
And every time they're just like, you are the most protected person we have ever seen. And then they shut it down, and they're just like, we have it. You don't need to mess with her. You don't need to tell her what's going to happen. We have her covered.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wish I had that kind of protection.
Yeah.
For me, it's like, who the fuck
My
cares?
brain
Go.
is...
Yeah, that is...
And the thing is I didn't realize, the first one happened when I was 12. And without that intervention, I wouldn't be here. And it wasn't until I was probably in my mid-30s, so a long time later, and I was just driving, and I was just like, that was my only grandparent that had passed at that point. Mm-hmm. And I was at that time in my life, and goosebumps. Here, and I'm like, thank you, Grandpa. I am so sorry. I didn't realize before now. I'm an idiot, and I told my mom, who believes this, and it was my dad's father, and my dad's like, what? But my mother's like, oh my God,
Well, that's...
Okay, so I have some insider information, and I know we haven't talked about this, and if you don't want to go too deep into it, we don't have to,
No.
but I'm seriously shook. Where does this fall timeline-wise to your coma? Okay. And was your grandfather alive when that happened?
No, because I was 12.
Yeah, this is like...
Wow.
I was 12 when this happened, and he passed when I was 8.
How...
But I just remembered this voice saying,
Wait.
leave the chart. And, and the lady's like, oh, and, she put the chart down and walked away. Who does that? Even back then.
Right, but because weren't you were, in a coma.
That's how they found out I was diabetic.
Okay, and so that was when you were 10?
12.
12. Okay, so, wait, so 12.
This was the summer after.
Oh, the summer after. Okay, got it.
Because it happened right around Easter, because I was in the hospital for about a week while they got everything balanced. Yeah. And my parents hadn't shown up, and it was Easter Sunday, and they had an Easter bunny go around to all the kids in the pediatric wing and get big, huge baskets of Easter candy.
For
And,
diabetics?
well, and they didn't look at the chart. And so I'm just sitting there staring at this basket of things I can no longer even look at. And, and I'm just miserable. And my mother comes in and sees, and she went and tore someone a new rear end opening.
Asshole.
Yeah.
You have an extremely interesting life, for real.
I guess.
No, that's amazing. It's crazy because, like, there are a lot of people who'd be like, hey, yo, like, very, like, outspoken and crazy about it. And you're like, oh, no, I've got a guardian angel, and I'm a power lifter, and I'm invincible, and I do laser art. Like,
I used to do road rallies, too.
Now, see,
I was the navigator for a rally team.
they could make a movie about you. And I mean, like, I don't even know, like what movie could we call your life?
I don't know.
I mean,
Grace, Sarah's not sex. I don't know.
I mean, that's if it was a comedy, but, like, and I don't mean this in, like, a negative way at all. I mean it in a positive way. You're like the comedy scene's Forrest Gump. You've, like, done everything, Like, you've done all these things, and, like, yeah, like, that's insane.
It's my life, and I don't know, people, I have a hard time saying, what do you do? Well, I'm an artist. To me, in my brain,
what
it's like,
don't you do?
Well, it's like, I'm an artiste, and it just sounds so snooty, and I don't feel snooty. Although, if you see pictures that, Libby, for some reason, every time I'm holding a mic, my pinky is out. And I just got the batch from last night at the winery, and my pinky's out, and everyone. I'm like, what am I doing?
That's because you're a classy bitch, Sarah. You are a classy bitch, and that's.
So I'm looking at these pictures; they're nice, but what is wrong with my finger? I don't do anything else like that. I don't know.
I think it's fantastic. Just
But it's me, and it's who I am, and it's like I don't. Being proud and being prideful, I struggle with that. I don't want to be prideful.
Well, yeah, no,
prideful is bad, and
it is.
So
yeah,
I'm just me, and this is who I am, and I assume everybody else is like me. So
well, unfortunately, they are not. And I will admit, I've had my moments of being cocky and prideful, and that's probably why my Polish grandfather doesn't warn me about things. And I am what he wanted. He always wanted a grandson. And I was alive for, I think, 8 months before he died. And he'd say, oh, I'm so proud I have a grandson. Probably not anymore. He's probably like, fuck this guy. I'm not going to, he's probably just waiting to see me one day so he can whip me.
Well, we talked with a past guest a little bit about how there is a level of ego and slight narcissism that comes along with you thinking that you should be talking into this microphone for anybody to listen to anything, whether it's a story, whether it's jokes, you have to have a little bit, because there's a reason why it's the number one fear of people everywhere, because it's terrifying. And the fact that whatever it is in your DNA that makes the magic of Sara Young, to take that feeling and turn into it every time instead of turning away from it is, I know that you're struggling with the vernacular, but I think that is something to be really fucking proud of.
Thank you.
And it is inspiring in so many ways. And I think we talked at the beginning about you getting into storytelling and using it as a way, to kind of, when you were talking about explaining how you got away from corporate America because it was just kind of sucking you dry. I think that is why it is so much more important for you to continue taking that microphone, because there are so many people out there that are just droning through the day-to-day, and to hear your perspective is refreshing and inspiring. And
it's, people ask what got you into comedy, and I have to say nausea.
Nausea?
Because any of these big changes that we have talked about, like, I'm going to be a laser gun artist, and then it's just like my stomach turns over and I break out into goosebumps, and I'm like, okay. And we went to see a Second City show when they were still downtown, and that was right at the beginning of my weight loss and all that, and so 15, 16 years ago. And on the table they had a little stand of, come be like these funny people, come take classes, and I was just like, not happening. It was all these classes, and the last one was writing, and writing I've done since I've been forever. And I told people, I'm thinking of taking this class, and my stomach turns over and I break out in goosebumps, and no one says it's a bad idea, so then I have to, because they're going to ask, how's my class going? I'm like, oh crap. So that's how I got into that. But each thing does that. So I'm watching TV bunch of 4 or 5 Christmases ago, and I'm watching Ellen and Gabriel Iglesias and Wanda Sykes, and I'm watching all their specials, and it occurs to me they're just talking about their life, and my stomach turns over and I break out in goosebumps, and I Google comedy classes and I find the Castle, and there's one that's starting in 2 weeks right around my birthday. And I'm like, I'm thinking of doing this, and no one says it's a bad idea, so then damn it, I have to do it. So it's always been nausea that has told me what I need to do next.
So what happens one day if you're sitting at home and you're watching cage fighting and you have a bout of the flu? Is it like a false nausea? Like, oh, my stomach's turning, I'm gonna go join the UFC.
No, it's a very distinctive feeling.
So yeah,
and it has to. And my goosebumps have to happen, and it's just like, oh,
yeah,
because
it's we find out she's lactose intolerant this whole time.
Oh,
or something.
I mean, because the last time I got nausea, I had food poisoning. Good God, I wished I was dead. That was the worst night of my life, and I knew it was coming on, and like an idiot, I'm like, I'll just go to bed and sleep it off. Even though I live right down the street from CVS, I should have gone down there and gotten Dramamine and Verner's, but. Yeah, my nausea didn't inspire me to do anything. It was...
I thought you said nausea, like some Russian lady was like,
let's
do this.
That's the voice, yeah. That's the voice. Hello, it is me, your grandfather, nausea.
You should do the comedy.
Yeah. It'd be funny for you to go do the... See, we could have done the entire podcast.
What is your grandfather's name?
Manuel.
Manuel?
Yeah.
He's probably watching you here right now. And he's probably gonna fuck with me tonight.
Not subscribed.
Yeah. if we see a 33rd subscriber, then we know.
Yeah, my other grandfather's name was Johnny. He was a practical joker, and multiple times, in the middle of the night, the sound bar in the living room will just turn on, and Ben's like, we need a new sound bar, and I know it's my grandfather, click, because all of a sudden in the middle of the night, Guy Fieri's yelling at us. I have to get up and turn it off, and I'm like, thank you, Grandpa. It's just
they got great sauce on this burger here. You gotta put it on there. And...
I am surrounded, and I accept it, and I know I am loved, and that's an amazing feeling.
But that has to be so comforting, though, to know that you've got people watching over you. It might make me a little nervous, being like, hey, are you watching me? Because I'm going to do bad things.
I'm just like, they respect my timeout, and I'm just like, I need alone time.
Yeah.
And we're not gonna view me during this period.
I was gonna say we all need alone time, and I could say if I ever become a ghost, I'm gonna give people alone time. Now, would you be a creepy ghost, or would you be a helpful ghost?
I'd like to think I'd be helpful, and I think my grandfathers just pop in when they know I have the need.
Yeah,
and they were just there, and when I have the tape, I'm gonna bring the tape with me to go comedy too.
That would be amazing. I mean, I would love to hear that one day as well. Would you be a creepy ghost or a friendly ghost?
I laughed because I would love to say that I'm the type of person that would be helpful, but the second you asked it, I was like, oh, I'd be a total creep.
Yeah,
I would. I can't. I am so fascinated with people.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even be for me to, get off or whatever, but, I'm so curious. You do that? I want to see,
Yeah.
How do you even... Oh, okay. I guess, I want to know everything about everyone.
I want to know what happens next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always want to know what happens next.
I'll admit, I'd be a scary ghost. I'm going to fuck with them. I'm going to make the walls bleed. And
Oh, see, in that sense, though,
I would be.
I would be a creepy ghost in I'm creeping on people. But I don't think that I would ever want people to know that I was there.
Oh, see, I would want to be.
So
I
that's
would
even
be
more creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you would be like the kind where it's like,
I'm
oh my
learning
God.
a lot about myself right now, Sarah.
Fun fact, and I say fun fact, and I don't know how true this is anymore.
Yeah, we learned a couple episodes ago, you do not know the definition of fun fact, Mr. Foot Blister or whatever.
Oh, yes. Bubblefoot.
Yes.
Yeah. Mike Bobbitt now calls me Bubblefoot, which I love, by the way. But, and Daryl, maybe you can look this up for us, because I don't know if it's true, but I like to think it's true because it sounds fun, that in certain states, if you think your house is haunted and you want to sell it, you have to disclose that, but you do not have to disclose if it used to be a meth house. Again, I don't know, like, I want to say I heard that, and it sounds...
I have to say that's Savannah. That sounds very...
Like, it sounds like
That's
it
a
could...
Nathan for You sketch, actually.
Yeah. So, like, I don't, like, now,
What
that
if
could
the
be...
ghosts were doing meth?
Or they became ghosts because...
They were doing meth.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I heard that somewhere, and I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe it was. Maybe I'm just having a moment, and...
I do know that there are different laws as far as revealing, like, deaths.
Yeah.
You know, if someone has died in the home, whether it was... And in certain jurisdictions even go as so far, like, if someone died of natural causes... That's different than if someone was murdered or if someone committed suicide. Like that what you have to reveal varies differently.
Yeah.
But I don't know about the ghost and the meth.
Yeah, I know. Now let me ask you guys this: could you move into a house would you be able to move into a house where you know that somebody was murdered? Could you do that?
No.
Okay. You?
So I struggle with this a lot because when I found out that the guy committed suicide in our house, I had this weird, like, almost anger at my mom. Like, how would you move us in there? When logically, the guy's dead. Like, she didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And she was also a single mom, and I'm sure that it was cheaper and all of that stuff. So I don't tie anything to it. But I feel like if I knew, I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, and see, I really don't know because I'll say now that I wouldn't care, but in that moment you might kind of start thinking about, okay, it's a little weird. I'm going to get very morbid here for a moment, so just bear with me. My sister's boyfriend, Jack, and Jack, by the way, if you watch, I'm sure that you won't care if I tell his story. He lives in his aunt's house right now. His aunt, unfortunately, passed away, and I'm not going to go into detail, but I will let people connect the dots. It took them a few days to find her, and she had dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, we'll leave it at that. You can connect the dots. Mm-hmm. But he lives there, and he's like, yeah, you know, I mean, it's a house, it's fine. Yeah. But...
I do think, and this is where I'm gonna sound like I'm contradictory, or contradicting myself. There is something that feels a little different to me if it's a relative.
Oh,
so if my aunt or grandmother passed away and then I lived in their house, that doesn't feel
intrusive, maybe?
As intrusive. Yeah, maybe that is it.
The energy behind it.
Yeah.
The energy behind it, the anger and the fear and everything that you're gonna get in a murder situation versus someone passing away, totally different.
Yeah. Maybe again, it's more situational. Like if somebody went peacefully in their sleep, or like one day Johnny B goes mad and chokes somebody with a banana to death, and then you're a little.
Yeah, and murder brings up a whole lot of other questions too. Like, is it something with the house? Yeah. You know, like, was this an innocent bystander? Like, the guy wanted to get something out of the house, and that guy's gonna keep coming back to this house.
Yeah.
Kinda, you know, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. Wow, we went really dark, didn't we?
Yeah,
we're talking about all the positive things, like guardian angels. Now we're talking about death and murder. This is what we do here on this podcast. We just go from one end to the other, and I love it. I love it, by the way.
So what do we?
There's actually a court case.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Stambovsky and Ackley is the name of the court case in New York State. One of the most famous cases involving the disclosure of paranormal activity during the sale of a home. And basically it runs down to reputation.
Okay.
It says, under Stambovsky, when a homeowner tells others that their home is haunted, they would have to disclose this information.
Oh, okay.
If a home has a reputation or is known as a haunted house, it would need to be disclosed. The house in the Stambovsky case had both the reputation and the media coverage about it being haunted, and then when they tried to sell it, they didn't disclose that, and the person who backed out of the sale was then also able to get their deposit back.
Wow, okay.
So that's so fascinating,
It is, yeah.
the way that it's written, because it makes it seem like the difference is not so much if cabinets are opening up late at night, it's whether or not 12-year-olds are riding their bike by your house going, that's the haunted place.
Yeah. You want to stand in the driveway for 5 minutes with your eyes closed.
Right, like as soon as it crosses into that line, then you gotta tell everybody.
And you can join the Tigers.
Very interesting. Yeah, so the guy who bought it, Stambovsky, is the person who tried to buy the house.
Okay.
Who's not from the area, so he did not know the reputation of the home.
Okay.
And then he learned of the home's ghostly activity after it was too late to get his deposit back. So he sued, and he was able to recover half of his deposit.
So he never drove through the neighborhood during a thunderstorm as the shutters were going and the lightning crashed and
No.
What about meth?
I didn't look up meth.
Okay, well, I mean, you might not want to look up meth on your phone because then you'll be having a visit from, and speaking of that,
if they haven't visited already, I don't know what to say. Honestly.
Yeah. Which, speaking of that, I really need to get rid of, because I was on
meth.
I was on a federal jury many, many years ago that dealt with a guy that was making and selling meth, and, as part of the prosecution, they taught us how to make meth to show how easy it is, and I still have those notes upstairs in my folder, and I should probably get rid of that. So you got notes on how to make meth. Oh, it was for a trial, I swear.
Please never get rid of it, because I want there to be...
She's a ghost, she wants something to read.
Yes.
But that is the nerdiest way to get busted, and I kind of love it. Because there's no cop ever that would find written notes inside of a folder and go, oh, he must be a meth kingpin.
Yeah.
That's... Organization is not high on meth lords.
Yeah, and I remember, because we're in the jury box and I'm writing this down, and I'm like, I should probably not have this, because, this is so incriminating right now. Shockingly, it's very... shockingly's not a word. Shockingly, it's very easy to make meth. And it's...
So if you subscribe, and as you start to see the set get fancier and fancier, you know that someone is following their notes.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Everybody needs a side hustle these days.
Clean side hustles here.
Absolutely.
That one can be yours.
You'll start seeing more and more people around Westland missing their teeth, and then I'll have my little RV parked out back, be standing out there in my underwear. It's a Breaking Bad reference, by the way. But one of these days I gotta get rid of that, because
the RV.
Oh hell no! No. You keep the RV, which, by the way, was that giant RV parked down the street again? Sometimes, because it's right by Johnny B's banana cave. So
maybe he's the meth kingpin.
Maybe he is. Yeah.
What twist?
Very, very fun. So, but this has been a very fun episode. You are, I've always known that you were a very fascinating person, but to sit down and talk with you at length, I honestly feel like you could, have your own podcast of just talking about your life experiences. It's been an amazing pleasure to have you on. You've got your nuts. You've got your laser stuff. You're a powerlifting, road rally, racing comedian, which I think is amazing.
Storytelling.
Where can we find you every month, and where can we find you in the coming months, Sarah?
In October
November. We're looking at November.
Yep. November. I hopefully will be doing a storytelling at Go. I don't have the date on that yet, but my winery show is on the 18th.
Okay.
And it has Zach Martina.
Beautiful man, great guy, very,
Jim
very
Friday.
hilarious. Oh.
And Jason Jamerson.
Wow.
How is all of that hair gonna fit in one room?
It's more, and
seriously.
Zach has mad poster skills. He sent me a poster that he made, and it is beautiful. And the winery is going to use it in a way that I'm not going to say, because if he watches this, I don't want the surprise to be ruined.
Yes.
Oh, that's so... I'm so excited.
You know what would be amazing? Because, I don't want to assume, but, well, either way, I think it'd be funny if either Zach or Jim does a set first, hops into a DeLorean, and then drives around, and the other one gets out. Either way, it would be amazing. That would be so great to have them do that. And just kind of get out, because, literally, they're each other, just,
that's so
Jim,
good.
I think Jim has used that. I'm like, I am the ghost of future present for you. To Zach.
I think that would be hilarious, and then just have Jamerson what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And then I found out that I got tapped for my first hosting weekend at Ridley's.
Very, very well deserved.
The weekend of the June 29th.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that will be me and Wes Ward and Mary Santora.
Beautiful.
Shut up. That's
awesome.
going to be fun.
That's a legit show.
That's an extremely legit show, yeah.
Where can they find all of your goodies?
The goodies are at graciesgoodeats.com, and the etching and everything is at sys-etching.com. And I am on Facebook for everything, and easiest way to find me, because there's 563,000 Sara Youngs, is my call on Facebook is Call Me Gracie.
There we go. Call Me Gracie.
What about you, Alana? What's going on with you?
Let's see. For the rest of the month, I am November 17th and 18th. I'm heading up to Traverse City Comedy Club. In the early part of December, I'll be on the east side doing some shows with Knuckleheads. I'll be at the Nail on December 1st and at Coon Creek on December 2nd. And all of my stuff is available on social media at Gonzaleza, Gonzaleeza.
And as you know, I have my monthly show at Bearderland Brewing Company in Plymouth, my monthly show at the Rusted Crow Distillery in Dearborn Heights, starting up the monthly shows again at Downey Brewing Company, still trying to figure out how I'm going to do the monthly shows at Rusted Crow in Belleville. It is a work in progress, but it is coming. Mm-hmm. I just got to figure out how the hell I'm going to tackle it all, but I always find a way, or as they say, another movie reference from Jurassic Park, life finds a way. Thank you all so much for putting up with my bullshit. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.